Hello, I am Rez. This video will not be featuring any guests, but this is part 7 of our Every Country Goes to War Once series. So yeah, this is War on Maps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's jump right into it. So at the end of last video, we had something a little like this. So yeah, let's go start another war. And yeah, all right, so we're going to begin with Germany deciding to invade Poland one last time. But this time, Sweden's on their side, and so is Italy. And as you can see, Italy has lost 2 big islands, so yeah. But Germany managed to convince France to join in on this, but managed to convince Spain and Portugal to join against France. So we have a new major European war, just like history has told us would happen. So yeah, let's begin this. So at the beginning of this, French troops cross into Italy, and also using these 3 islands, they make naval landings along the Boot and near Rome. But eventually the one near Rome gets pushed out, so does the other naval landing. But the one on the Boot stays and manages to push up, while in the north, German troops are pushing into Italy too. And now France is a major superpower, and Germany is a major power, and Poland is a major power, Sweden is a power, and Italy used to be a major power, but then they kept on joining the wrong side of the wars and kept on losing. So not anymore. They're not a major power anymore. Now German troops are crossing into Poland, but Poland has been militarizing ever since they lost the last war to Germany. So yeah, Poland is ready for this. So the Germans cannot push in that much, but Sweden is a major naval superpower. So they use that to blockade. Actually, I don't think they can blockade. Yeah, I don't think the Swedish can blockade. But the British are not insisting of a naval blockade against Spain and Italy, and also got the Danish to do the same against Sweden and Poland. Just kidding, they don't do one on Portugal, they only do one on Spain, meaning this is how the naval blockade looks. But either way, Germany's economy is not in trouble. It's only thriving, and now Germany is really just controlling Europe. The largest economy is still the United States, but Germany is second largest. So they are an economic power, and along with France, France is around 4th, the UK is around 3rd. And yeah, China, after losing the major global conflict, they lost the economy for reparations. Over here, yeah, this is Warsaw right there. And Germany's air force is really powerful because they've been rapidly militarizing all over the place. So their air force manages to pull off some airborne landings that manage to capture Warsaw and the areas around it, and then consolidate the front. But Poland then squeezes its forces and manages to surround the airborne landings. But then more and more of them happen that eventually reconnect it and encircle some Polish troops, which have to surrender. But now Germany is pushing around Poland and Kaliningrad. And I'm pretty sure you'd see this coming in the peace treaty, that Poland's going to lose some stuff. But at the same time, France has to deal with Italy and Spain, so Italy manages to push it back at the cost of losing some ground in Spain. But yeah, Red Team gets a couple more allies. When I say a couple, I mean only one, and that is Ukraine. The Red Team gets Ukraine to join in on this, and they also have been rapidly militarizing, so they help Poland push back and make a small advance into the Czechoslovakian area of Germany. Well, in Germany, the two largest cities are very isolated from everybody else. Those would be Berlin and Vienna. They are very far away from the other places, but the next biggest city is Prague, which is not that far away, but it is enough. But eventually the Ukrainians and Polish and Swedes managed to push back the Germans at the cost of losing a lot of ground in Italy. And when I say a lot, I mean like the entire base of the Italian peninsula. But some soldiers get circled over here, but don't surrender because they can just escape there. So yeah. The boot is now getting pushed up, and Naples has officially been captured, and Italy is really about to fall. But Spain and Portugal work together for like the first time in history to push the French back, which causes the French to need to withdraw some troops. And that allows Italy to push back. But then the Portuguese and Spanish got pushed back. So this war is looking a bit tied up. Yeah, it does look a bit tied up. But a major game changer are the Danish, which if you haven't remembered, if you don't remember, have conquered Norway and are now a major superpower again. So now they're pushing into Germany, but now the UK is going to break their alliance with Portugal and join France's side. So yeah, and the Danish don't stand a chance against the British, and the British only joined in because they wanted to get some revenge, like the British always do. But now the British are actually doing a really powerful naval blockade. A naval blockade over there, and also a blockade down there. And only allowing French and German ships to pass through the blockades. And also are sending a ton of troops to Germany to push the Danish back. And their capital is still Copenhagen, so it's not that far away. But now the Swedish are sending some troops to push the British back, and they do. So a stalemate is eventually found, I guess. But over here in this area, the Germans managed to push back the Ukrainians and make an advance into Ukraine itself. And then completely isolate Ukraine from the rest of them. I mean, like, Italy is very close to Spain, and Poland, and the red team kind of controls the Baltic Sea. So, yeah. But now the Germans are managing to push into Poland more easily, capturing some more stuff until eventually Poland is capitulated, but its forces escape to Sweden. But Ukraine is now conscripting and manages to push the Germans back. While at the same time, there's some naval landings on the Estonian coast and also on this coast, like this. But they are eventually whipped out because the German forces literally just arrived there. And I'm very sorry about the background noise, but I do think, but it is snowing out here, so there's gonna be some background noise sometimes, but not for a long time. But now we're gonna just talk about Italy. Italy only wanted to gain some stuff out of this. That meant Sicily and Sardinia, which they lost in wars against France. So really, they are kind of losing this. And eventually Rome is captured, and all of Italy is capitulated. But they surrendered before that. And France did allow them to regain Sicily and half of Sardinia, which I will show in a tiny bit. Because France really does not need them right at the moment. They do not need those lands. And those lands are very happy to be Italian again. But France is now full sending their troops against Spain. And eventually Spain and Portugal surrender. So now it's just the Danish, Swedish, Ukrainian, and I guess Polish forces left. Yeah, that's not gonna end well for them. So the Danish are first to surrender. And then come the Swedes and then Ukrainians. The only country that's gonna lose land is actually gonna be, I guess the only country that will lose land is gonna be like Poland. But other than that, it's nobody's gonna lose land or, well, gain land. So I need to, because I told you guys already, Italy is gonna get half of Sardinia. And I'm not sure if this is really half, but let's just say it is. And the lower half is Italian, the northern half, the upper half is French. But now let's see. So now let's see how hard Poland gets hit, and they are hit pretty hard. And yeah, Germany is trying to look, actually that looks horrible. Let's try that again. So Germany gets this much out of Poland, which, if you haven't noticed, that's a lot of Poland stuff. Poland is not happy about this, but they have to agree because they lost the war. And yeah, Germany is trying to look more like the German Empire now. And it is, and it's even bigger. But also, so yeah, this does look a lot more like the German Empire, but I guess I'll just give them a tiny bit more. Because it just looks weird, so yeah, that's gonna be German right now. So after gaining that land, Germany looks pretty big. Poland got to keep its capital, Warsaw, and my brother is calling me, so I'm gonna be back in a second. Sorry about that. My baby brother wants to tell me something, but for now, let's just see what's gonna happen next. Well, Poland is now very weak. They got to keep their capital, but not much else. So they just decided to unite with Ukraine under being not not actually part of Ukraine. It's just like a self-governing part of Ukraine, just like Northern Ireland is. So yeah. So Germany is now recognized as a major power, as a major global power, but not as a superpower yet. But for now, everyone is neutral again until the next war breaks out. And what was that? And that will be something. Let's think about this actually. Is Russia really happy about being Western now? No. Is China really happy about being Western now? Yes, because they just got united with Taiwan. So I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna make them fight. And this is gonna go kind of like the video with what if China invaded Russia, and I will put the link for that in the description if you want this war in more detail. But let's go see. It's first Russia. Russia is gonna be invading China, and Russia has been militarizing the US told them that it was only to invade these countries over here, which we're not Western yet. But they lied, and now China is not ready for this because China has to reduce its military after the major war. So Russia is pushing in from this region and from Manchuria. But this is not happy with the Western community. And eventually, Germany is the first to declare war. France follows, then the UK. And they make sure Ukraine allows them to like move soldiers through. And they do. And now there's some Western soldiers crossing into the Belarusian part of Russia. And also there's some stuff coming in from this Caucasus Mountain region. And Russia is a major global superpower, but they are facing off against the world's second most powerful country and the world's fourth most powerful country. So they might not stand a chance because they're fifth. So now they're getting pushed back. But in the China area, they are trying to take as much stuff as they can before the West takes over some stuff. So, and it goes pretty successfully after capturing the entire Manchuria area and pushing to the Korean Peninsula. But over here, the West is very well easily pushing in with tons of resistance, but the West, there is literally a major global superpower here and another major global superpower here and a major global power here, so it might not be the best idea for Russia to invade China because they lied to the West, and that is not good. Especially when the world's #1 country decides to join this war in favor of their allies. And yeah, they join. So Russia has to send all the troops out of China. Sorry about that. Has to send all the troops out of China to hold back the West, which they do manage to slow the West down, but it's not really that useful. Now, because now the West has captured St. Petersburg, and they're pushing around Belarus, and eventually they start pushing into Russian territory. And this is really bad news for Russia, also because the armies, like the 5 armies that were in the Caucasus fighting, eventually gained access to the sea, but at the same time got encircled. So they lost access to the sea and eventually got surrounded and had to surrender. And then up here in the Kola Peninsula region, the West is very easily pushing in and taking the entire Kola Peninsula. And Russia decided to end the war with China. So they can stop the West. So they did end the war with China, but now they're getting pushed back even more. But now Russia is literally conscripting their entire population, and Moscow is again on the brink of capture. Literally, it's like right there. It's on the brink of capture. So Russia is scrambling for conscription, which they managed to do. Managed to push back the West in the Caucasus Mountain region, and then encircle some troops, but they all escaped to Ukraine. And eventually they're managing to push back the West, even though the West is far superior in kind of everything but numbers. Like, imagine this. You're a person who's very, 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 like a Navy SEAL fighting off against 80 conscripts. Who do you think would win? You're right, it's just gonna be the conscripts because they're just numerically superior. So Russia manages to push back the West, and Moscow is now a safe distance from the fighting, right? I think it's like there. And now Russia's navy is attempting to make a naval landing, which they do and recapture St. Petersburg, and also cut off the troops up there from the troops down there. But these troops always eventually go through Sweden and come back to the front lines here to recapture St. Petersburg and eventually keep pushing around. So yeah, but now the West is beginning to conscript. And now the numbers I told you, like 1 to 80, they're like 30 to 80. So yeah, I think the West is gonna push to Moscow, capture the city. Russia eventually will surrender. I just don't need to explain it. And yes, Russia lost. But now, instead of just giving them a pro-Western government in the peace treaty, Russia is now a U.S. puppet. And if they don't do what the U.S. says, they're going to get invaded, and Russia can no longer be a superpower. Their army can only be reduced to 100,000 men. They can't have an air force. and they had to pay a huge amount of money to the West that they don't have. Basically the same thing as the Treaty of Versailles in World War One. And if you guys want to learn about like history and stuff like that, then I highly recommend the channel Oversimplified. It is very good. Like, I will post the link to subscribe in the description, but it is like this. It like taught me how war actually goes out. So yeah, Russia did not lose any land, but now they are not powerful anymore. Well, yeah, they are powerful, just not as powerful as they were before they started this war that they totally did not need to start. So yeah, they did not lose any land, but they kind of lost their status as a superpower. And now I think that's gonna be it for part 7. See you in part 8, and I told you I am not done with this series. It's gonna be in a long time before I finish it. And just before we go, I'm just gonna make San Marino part of Italy because I really don't need to make San Marino get into a war. And yeah, Russia is now no longer even close to like being able to beat a country like Iran. So, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. My friend keeps on telling me that I do, but say no. And yeah, this is gonna be it for part 7, and I hope to see you in part 8. Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.